Sometimes I recap movies that I love to unpack their themes. Sometimes I recap movies that are trash to unpack their memes. This is the latter. In a world where vampires live right under your noses.
Right under your noses.
And you have no idea.
And you have no idea.
In the old days, vampires and humans hunted one another, and in Los Angeles, an area called Boyle Heights served as their battleground. A truce was called, and vampires disappeared into the shadows. They stick to 3 rules: remain hidden, don't suck blood without consent, and stay the hell away from Boyle Heights. That sounds like it sucks. Why would they agree to that? Our story begins at a neon-lit laundromat. A guy named Jay arrives to see his girlfriend, Maria. But rather than just say hi, he stands outside like a stalker and scares her. Edgy. In the car, he compliments her.
You look nice.
So she insults him.
You're so stupid.
Suddenly, Theon Greyjoy appears in the car next door, so Jay pulls a bling gun out of the glove box. The light turns green, and the camera gets fancy as Jay lets it rip. Exactly 1 second later, he stops the car again and heads into some sort of meat locker, leaving his confused and defenseless girlfriend outside, where they just saw a scary guy. Then, something bad happens to her, and Jay is surprised for some reason. The scene shifts to the inside of a movie theater. Film student Benny Perez is passed out, as film students do. His teacher claps him awake, and a cute girl giggles. Benny thinks he has a chance, but the girl's boyfriend shows that he's alpha, and then makes a subtle pass at Benny. Benny's a skateboarder. He likes to ride on one wheel. Cool. Benny makes music as well. He says his goal is world domination. Someone needs to tell Benny how f***ed the music industry is these days. Benny arrives at his beautiful home and speaks with his mother about his studies. He chills in his room with his anime figurines and video game peripherals, his skateboard decks, and his beats. He overhears a voice in the next room, and it is revealed that his half-brother is Jay from the beginning. Jay is a chauffeur, and Benny wants to work for him. But he doesn't have a license, a suit, or any reason at all, really, to be asking for this. He asks if Jay and Maria are fighting. Instead of responding, Jay pulls a sus knife out of a box. Instead of telling Benny where he got it, he decides he will let him play chauffeur. Outside, Benny repeats that his beats are going to make him rich. Jay then uses the key fob to start the car, and Benny is shocked. Benny lives under a rock. Jay tells Benny to assume his identity, falsely claiming his license and registration as his own. This sounds like a good idea. Jay gives Benny instructions, but Benny doesn't listen to a word he says. Then he drives away in his $100,000 vehicle to break a bunch of laws. Benny says, and it's party time. He goofs around, showing off his incompetence, and as night rolls in, he arrives in Beverly Hills to pick up his client. Suddenly, a woman emerges from the house. Her name is Blair. Benny, pretending to be his own brother, says his name is Jay. XYZ, says Blair. Oh shit, says Benny. Blair can tell Benny is a fraud, but Blair seems to have some secrets of her own. Benny then meets his client, Miss Zoe Moreau, who also immediately calls BS on his profession. Zoe gives Benny a whole list of parties that they'll be hitting before sunrise, and Blair asks for the AC on full blast. As they drive, the girls play games with Benny, and he warms up to them quickly. As they pull up to the night's first party, through a sea of red lights, the girls don masks. This place is pure swank, thinks Benny. The bouncer UV scans their Pokemon gym badges, and they head right on in. Elsewhere, Jay is meeting his gang in an alley. He says it's been 3 generations, and he's about to break the peace. He reveals that a vampire named Victor took his Maria, and so he has no choice. Either Victor dies tonight, or these guys do. Meanwhile, Benny is chilling outside the party in the car. The extras have all gone home, so it's completely dead. Benny gets out and finds a gym badge, which he pockets. The girls appear, do a slow-mo walk to some poppin' beats, and tell Benny to get his dumb ass back in the car. They then take off into the night. Their next destination is in a parking garage. The girls leave their phones behind, and Benny decides to read their incoming sinister texts from Victor. Benny doubles down on his stupidity and goes through the girls' bags next. He spots fat stacks and greedily begins pawing his way through them. Who in their right mind would... oh, never mind. Benny notices that there's something else in the bag. Blood. Just then, the police arrive, so Benny bails out of the car and heads through the door the girls used used earlier. He finds himself in the hotel from John Wick, and the receptionist tells him she's going to eject him. But then she spots his gym badge, and her attitude shifts. He says he's meeting Blair and Zoe, so the receptionist uses a key from Zelda to activate the elevator. We get a stereotypical awkward elevator moment. Then, the door opens, and as Benny steps into the dimly lit, posh-as-hell hallway, the woman tells him to drink responsibly. Ominous. Oh look, the girls are vampires. They're feeding on the gang from Magic Mike. Zoe grabs Benny, and he reveals that he's not Jay, but his brother. Frustrated, the girls say they'll need him to take them to Jay. Channing wakes up laughing, his neck, drained, and realizes that Tatum is unresponsive. Rock-hard abs or no, that dude's dead. Channing says, "Hey, we're protected," and then the girls kill him too. Benny flees back to the garage and tries to appeal to a cop who thinks he's on drugs, so he arrests him. Benny says he's fine with jail, anywhere but here. But no, he's going in the trunk. Blair and Zoe arrive and ask for Benny back. The cop threatens to call Victor, and Zoe calls him a piggy. Then, Zoe steps on Benny's phone. Now we're back with Theon, who's actually Victor. He's busy slamming blood straight from the tap. He's got a clone army rigged up in the basement. What's that about? He drives into the hills, and we return to the Batmobile. Benny's in the car with the girls, stressing hard. He tries to make a run for it, but Zoe is outside now, somehow. I guess she's really quick and can phase through walls. Later, Victor arrives at a very expensive house, and we're greeted by a close-up of epic cleavage. Oh, it's Cassie from Euphoria, and Machine Gun Kelly's wife, brooding around and being unreasonably good-looking. Respect to Theon for making it through this scene without passing the hell out. The two smoldering vamps, Eva and Grace, threaten Victor. They say he stepped into Boyle Heights, the epic off-limits zone with the very unepic name. They threaten to call a guy named Martin, and that's literally the last we'll ever hear of that character. Victor gives a bad guy speech about being tired of being told what kind of vampire he can and cannot be. Eva and Grace insult his impatience. They say they're going to ban him, but Victor then reveals that he's in the middle of a coup, and he's taking over. Back in Benny's rig, he's still panicking. Blair goes full exposition mode for no reason. She says vampires run the city. There are 5 bosses that control territories, and she and Zoe do collections for them. Benny's brother Jay's crew runs Boyle Heights and knows how to kill vampires. Victor wanted Jay to help him overthrow the other bosses, but Jay refused, so the girls were supposed to bring Jay to him, but they got Benny instead. Blair sparks a joint and offers Benny some. Benny says no, because who the hell would want to be high for a night like this? Then he abruptly changes his mind and does a French inhale. Lest we forget, vampire movies are hot. We then revisit Victor. The movie could only afford Megan and Sydney for that one scene, so they're dead now. Hey, at least they were on the poster and in the trailers. Hell, they were even in this video's thumbnail. They just pulled a double Bruce Willis. Victor, on the phone with Zoe, says only 2 bosses are left to kill. Zoe tells him about Benny. Victor has a plan for Benny. They swap euphemisms.
Do you think he gives good blood?
I think he gives real good blood.
And then we're right back to the Red Light Ocean house. Jay and his homie ride up, cocked and loaded, and their gang heads inside to take Victor alive. There are bodies and blood everywhere. They find a weirdo named Gio sitting in a chair. Gio wants blood. Jay wants Victor. Gio says he wants blood again, so Jay puts a cap in his vampire ass. In a gas station, Benny and Zoe do a cringe dance together while she hints that Blair is a virgin. That's absolutely ridiculous. Then, Zoe becomes paranoid about the clerk's phone, so she spits slushy in his face, then licks it off.
"You're insane!"
says the clerk, no doubt rock hard. He was texting his mom, he says. Blair tapes his mouth shut, and chances are he enjoys it very much. Later, at their next stop, Benny tries to bail. The girls are amused, so they toy with him a bit before shutting him down. As they head into the club, Blair says if Benny runs, she'll kill his ass. Then, oh wow, it's the cute girl from film class. Alpha Man does his alpha shit again, and they all start laughing at him like gnomes from the woodlands. Blair doubles back, lays one on Benny, and Alpha Man shits his pants. Benny forgets all about the vampire gangster thing and starts simping for Blair. Then he drinks something that is sure to make him higher than he already is. J. Crew is outside the same club, in an alley, walking tall. A big dreadlock guy lets them in. Back inside, Zoe and Blair meet with a guy, while Benny toddles around tripping nutsack. The guy pulls a ridiculous-looking crossbow on them. There must have been a sale, because suddenly there are many men with crossbows. Who still uses crossbows? All seems lost until Benny breaks a bottle over the leader's head, and the girls go to work on his men. Benny says,
"Who still uses crossbows?"
But too late, Benny, I already made that joke. Blair says these guys are called the Night Legion, that they hunt creatures. Jay is now in the club. He catches sight of Benny, realizes he's being pimped out by vampires, and immediately changes plans. A douche tries to get in Jay's way, so Jay lays waste with his super knife. The guy turns into ash, the crowd screams, and the audience wonders how this whole society has remained a secret this long. Outside, guys in funny vests start shooting their magic crossbows at vampires. Zoe leans out the window to make a cool face, which is stupid because she's right in the line of fire. Shortly after, Jay gets pulled over by a cop who tells him where Victor is, which is convenient. Benny, blinded by the prospect of a threesome, decides to bring the deadly vampires home to Mum's place. His mum comes out swinging a bat, shrieking like a banshee. She sees the ladies and is proud of her son. Blair bandages Benny's hand. Benny's mom tells him to use a condom in Spanish, and then Blair reveals she knows Spanish. Classic. Benny finds Jay's rusty daggers and grabs one. Down the hall, Blair discovers his beats and loves his Naruto toy. She says he's really talented and asks him about his 5-year plan as a musician. This is Benny's wet dream. Benny asks Blair about her career aspirations, completely forgetting, I guess, that she's immortal. Then, they're about to make out, but you guessed it, they get interrupted. Elsewhere, Jay arrives at Victor's hideaway. He's eating blood and drinking meat, menacingly. They talk about the truce that was made 100 years ago that has now been broken. Victor says he's had everyone killed, and Jay is the last obstacle. Victor says the city is
one fat neck waiting to get sucked,
which is gross, and Jay says his family must be left alone. Victor refuses, so Jay and then grabs him, but Victor's not dead, and reveals that he's literally eating Maria. Now, the Batmobile has reached its final destination. They're meeting a guy named Rocco. Rocco's bizarre body language throws everyone off. Inside, he sniffs Benny. You can tell that Benny is thinking about bottling him. Rocco gets paranoid and asks if it's a booty call, says,
"I'm not that kind of girl,"
and then immediately gets hype hoping it's a booty call. He sends Blair and Benny out to the pool so that he and Zoe can
conversate.
Benny asks what it's like, being immortal. Blair says it's like freedom. Sometimes. He asks if she's got family and tells her about his. They start making out and the camera gets real crazy. Inside, Rocco sucks on Zoe's finger and then chuckles like an immortal. Zoe pulls a weapon. Rocco reveals that he knows she's working with Victor, and his boys show up. A fight breaks out and a dude gets yeeted straight out into the pool. Benny goes to get the car, sees Zoe take a crossbow bolt in the distance, and then runs down the pansy with the crossbow. Blair rocks a guy's face off the window and they jump in. Soon, daylight is almost upon them. Zoe isn't doing too hot. They drive to Victor's place, and Blair warns Benny not to go inside. The girls go in, and he begins to drive away, but he changes his mind. He knows this decision will seal his fate, but he's decided life isn't about making beats and taking over the world anymore. No, it's about vampire boobies. Benny enters the clone lab wielding a bat, a useless-ass weapon. He spots Jay in one of the holding cells. Oh, they're not clones, those are mirrors. This makes more sense now. Benny attempts to break his brother out, but Victor arrives. Now, in Victor's shag lair, Benny bargains for Jay's life. Blair looks worried. Then, Benny whips out a knife, but it's futile. Victor is going to eat his ass. That came out wrong, but he is going to eat him. Blair says she wants out. Zoe starts crying. She says, but we did the thing. We killed everyone. Our plan is complete, whatever the hell it was. She then stabs Blair, and things are looking grim. But suddenly, Benny exacts his master plan. He clicks the key fob that blew his mind at the beginning, and the SUV outside, with a brick on the gas, takes off towards the house. It destroys the floor-to-ceiling windows, and the hole it creates lets more light in than the floor-to-ceiling windows did. And then Zoe turns into a Pop-Tart. Suddenly, Jay appears with a chain around his neck. He says run, and then gets yanked back into the shadows. That was pointless. Then Victor appears and takes a big bite out of Benny. Blair stabs him a few times until he shoos her away. Then Jay football tackles Victor directly into the sunlight, and the boss fight ends. A concerned Blair comes to Benny's aid. She bites herself and then lets Benny feed. Then she feeds on him too. It's all very sexy. I guess they'll be Morbies together for eternity, which kind of feels like a happy ending. The next morning, Benny awakens. He checks his neck, but all seems well. Later, he's having dinner with Jay. Jay says,
The whole world's changed.
though I have no idea how. Benny gets up to go and reveals he left a bunch of blood money for Jay. Sweet. In the final scene, Benny is in a library. He spots his old crush with Alpha Man. He almost morbs, but he contains himself. He then leaves, but by sheer coincidence, he bumps into them outside. Alpha Man is suddenly being nice to him, proving the writers had no idea what to do to round out his character arc. Blair pulls up, Benny hops in, and just before the credits roll, he flashes them a fanged grin. Subscribe for more content, hit the bell to be the first to comment, and leave a like to help my channel grow. Check out my gaming channel too if you're into that. Link below. See you next time.